Hey, lovers. Welcome to the Book Lovers Club, the podcast where we celebrate Black Sapphic love stories, one book at a time. I'm your host, Joy, a married lesbian, lifelong book lover, and relational communication scholar. Here, we don't just read the romance, we learn from it. I believe that love stories can do more than just entertain us. They can teach us how to love better, how to see ourselves more clearly, and how to create the love life of our dreams. Each week, I'll dive into sapphic stories written for us and by us, while weaving in personal insights and communication lessons you can take off the page. So grab your drink, get cozy, and let's turn the page together. Welcome to the club. Hey, book lovers. Welcome back to another episode of the Book Lovers Club. I haven't talked to y'all since last year. I know, that's really corny. I know. That's my wife's like running go-to joke right now. I haven't talked to you since last year. Look, and we just corny together. That's why I love her. But that joke will last her for a little bit. But yes, Happy New Year. Happy New Year, new me. Okay. I hope that y'all enjoyed your holiday and that your year is off to an amazing start. I hope 2026 is going to be full of love, joy, and prosperity and lots of good books. Okay. Let's not forget why we're here. I hope that we all read some really good books this year. All right. But today we're going to just recap the last book club meeting because last week I was joined on air by author Aunt Georgia Lee, and she talked to us about her new book and just about her writing process and things like that. So we are reading her book, Ain't Too Old to Grind, for January. That is one of our January book picks, but we have a second book that we are reading. So today I'll introduce those books and just kind of recap our last book club meeting that happened right before the holiday, and then talk to you all a little bit about some of my New Year goals and just my headspace right now as we're entering a new year. For those of you who follow me on social media, I did share just like an end of the year wrap up for the podcast and just everything that I've accomplished here. And y'all, it's been a wild ride, and I've been having so much fun doing this, and it's a lot of new developments. So I will be having an intern working with me for a little while. So I told y'all I work at a university. So I work in higher education, and someone in my network connected me with the graduating seniors like, hey, would you be open to working with this student? Of course, I am not a fan of unpaid interns. Well, I'm not a fan of unpaid labor. So I'm not someone that like really promotes unpaid internships. However, they are a really good opportunity in the art space and the creative space for people to get that experience. But yeah, I will be working with an intern for a little bit, and I'm really excited about that. So her and I, we had our conversation today, and I think it's going to be a good fit. So I'll be working with someone, but that is an expansion that I didn't see coming, which is supporting students in what I'm doing. So I do that in my full-time job. And of course, it's something that I love to do and gravitate towards. So we'll see how this internship experience works. But I am not a stranger to supporting interns. I have built internship programs from the ground up. In fact, my first full-time job in higher education was supervising a team of student workers and interns. So I am not new to this, but I will be creating an internship experience because I think that these type of opportunities should align with what students are seeking academically. And because this is what I do professionally, I really want this to be a good experience for her and to help her connect what she be doing with me with what she's studying in school, and hopefully create some opportunity for her when she graduates. So yeah, y'all, I'm going to be working with an intern soon, and I'm very excited about it. So I will keep y'all posted. I don't know just yet. I'm going to be mapping out like her projects and things like that. But your girl's going to have an intern. Crazy, right? Okay. Another thing. So I was doing my wrap up because, Spotify, Apple, like all these different platforms were doing like just wrap ups at the end of the year with like your data and analytics and stats and stuff on like, what you've accomplished over the year. And I was very surprised when I started pulling my numbers and looking at things. So according to Spotify, my debut show is performing better than 57% of other new shows that came out this year. And they labeled my show as an instant hit show. Like, y'all, I'm just really grateful. I'm just really grateful that people are listening to me, because that's the thing. A lot of people start podcasts and are putting in a lot of labor and a lot of work building this, and they don't have a viewership or a listenership or audience just yet. And I'm very grateful that none of my episodes are zero listeners. Like, I have listeners and people have listened to everything that I've dropped. And my second episode, Kiss It Better, that's my highest performing show. That episode has over 250 streams. That episode like really took off. That was my lowest performing episode. And now it's like surpassed everything. I went back and listened to the episode because I want to replicate it, okay? Like, what was the magic sauce on that episode so I can get those type of numbers for all of my episodes? But that particular episode, I talked about affection. I shared some of my personal experience with public displays of affection, but I think what really set that episode off was I talked about the health benefits of expressing affection. And that one has a lot of views. So that's something I'm going to lean into in this new year, is really like tying in my experience and my expertise in relational communication. But there is a health benefit to a lot of the different communication behaviors that I talk about on the podcast and some of the episodes. And when I tie in some of that communication theory and some of the science behind relationships, there's this other field of study that's an intersection between communication and biology that I love. And that research really does talk about how there are health benefits and health consequences to communicating. So I think that that's why the episode went up, because I was talking about health, sharing some of my own experiences, and I felt like that content was really relatable. It could have been the SEO, I'm not sure. So I don't know if y'all have noticed, but all of my episodes are named after songs. So I like themes. I love a good theme, y'all. So all of the titles of my episodes are song titles that I like. So, and that I feel like go along with the theme of the episode. And I actually spend a lot of time trying to figure out what song really channels what I'm talking about in the episode this week. Like, it's the details. I wasn't going to say anything because I wonder if somebody was going to pick it up, but it feels very obvious to me. But yes, every title of my episode is a song title. But Kiss It Better, that's my highest performing episode. Like I said, it's got over 250 streams. If I could replicate the magic from Kiss It Better, y'all. So that's one of my goals this year, is to increase my listeners or increase my viewership. You know, I'm off to a great start. I am off to a great start, especially I've only been doing this for 4 months. I launched this podcast on August 30th, and I'm off to an amazing start. And I'm just really grateful for all of the support and the growth that I've experienced doing this. And I have a background in public speaking. I used to be on the speech team in high school, and my degrees are in communication. I really love this. And low key, I used to be obsessed with Martin. Like, I'm like, how do I get to be on What's Up? Okay, how do I get to be on air? And I just love the era that we're in, where you can really create your own lane and create your own opportunity, and how freeing this is. I minored in journalism. I have some experience through my education with doing this stuff, but nothing really beats just getting out there and do it yourself. And sometimes I feel like I'm Martin. Okay. My wifey is Gina. I'll be on here yapping and talking about books, but I always wanted to do that. And now that I am, I'm just really grateful that, you know, I have an audience, but I would love to see it grow. But y'all, I got listeners in 5 different countries. Like, when I saw that, I'm like, wow, it's people in other countries listening to me. And what was the most surprising is that 7% of my listeners are in Spain. So I'm like, the reach, baby, okay? The reach. I was very surprised, but I got listeners in Mozambique, Morocco, South Africa, and Spain. Like, crazy. I'm just very proud of what I've been doing and what I've been building, and like y'all been rocking with me. So as I'm entering into this new year, I'm just reflecting on some of the things that I want to accomplish. And like I said, one of my really big goals for this year is to just continue to do what I'm doing, get better at what I'm doing, strengthen my podcasting skills, my editing skills, and continue to harness my craft. Okay. But one of the goals that I have, I really would like to host a book event this year, ideally in collaboration with someone else. So I ended up on a TikTok thread today. Like, look, if y'all ever see me arguing with people on the internet, do a wellness check. Okay. I need you to check in on your girl and be like, are you okay? Is everything okay? Because one thing I'm not going to do is argue with people on the internet. That's not my jam. Okay. If you like it, I love it. I'm not going to yuck your yum. But I'm not going to be out here arguing with niggas on the internet. Okay. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. However, today I saw a post and they were talking about how they hate how all of the events for building community, you have to pay for them and they should be free. I do agree. I agree that I think that events that are geared towards building community should be accessible. They should be free. However, remember some earlier episodes, I talked about the true price of community. It's not free. Community building and community organizing isn't free. There's money being spent somewhere. So it's very difficult. I will never charge for my book club meetings. I personally wouldn't pay to go to an event to discuss a book. However, it is becoming very difficult to keep the events free. So as long as I can keep the event free, it'll be free. But here's the dilemma. So I host my book club meetings at the library. I see a lot of posts where they're like, look, y'all need to do more events at the library, keep the costs free. If it's for community engagement and community organizing, it should be free. I hear y'all. However, y'all telling everybody the same message. It's all over the internet. Do y'all know how hard it's been for me to lock in a room at the library for my events? And then with that, there are a lot of preferences. So people are like, well, can you have the event near public transportation? Can you have the event where there's parking? Can you have it on the south side? I don't want to have to travel to the north side. But then I got north siders that's like, well, that's too far south. Can you have the event here? So I'm trying to, appeal to all of these different people and their interests. It's very hard to do so. With that, when I find ideal locations, they're ideal for other people as well. They're very difficult now to get reservations. I had to shift to a different library than what we usually do because the meeting time that I wanted, where we usually have our time, it usually works for everybody. That room is not available on that day and time, and it's been, like I said, I got to plan these events way in advance. But, with the book club members, I like to get their feedback on when we're hosting the events to make sure that people can attend because we all have lives. I travel often, so do members in my book club. We got things to do, baby. So I'm trying to choose dates that work with everybody. You get what I'm saying? It's just hard trying to cater to so many people and all of these different interests and keep the event free. So some people are looking at venues, wanting to host the events at certain spaces, but that costs money. So, even when I host the events, I like to bring candy or some snacks, even though technically we're not supposed to have food or drinks at the library, but I'll be bringing in little cookies and stuff, but that costs money. So I'm, losing money, but this is my way to give back to the community. And this is how I'm pouring into the community. And I really do value the fact that people have traveled to come and meet me and talk about the books. However, there's a lot of labor that goes into organizing and putting on these events that I think that unless you are somebody who is in event planning and you're in the organizing space, community organizing space, you may not realize all of the things that go into making all of this happen. So I saw that post on TikTok, y'all, and I had to comment because I do agree with the sentiment. I do think that there are a lot of people out here now that are exploiting the communities, that are doing this stuff as a cash grab. Okay. it's been so many retreats and events and things popping up where, and it's like, why is it $500-$600, or why is this event $60 and you don't really get anything? You're really just paying to come and network and mingle with other people. And that's where I'm like, it feels like it's a cash grab. That's not me. I'm genuinely trying to build community and pour into my community, but I do understand the circumstances that will arise that force people's hands where they do have to charge, because otherwise they're going to be in the hole, and they're losing money. So I think that the best way that we can, help people who are putting on these events or that are putting in the labor to help build community is to, one, show up. That's another thing too. Shout out to my day ones. I have some book clubbers who've been coming from the very beginning, ain't missed a meeting. Okay. And I have some that have had to miss a couple of meetings, but they're actively engaged. They let me know, like, they've been rocking and rolling with me. And I'm very grateful, because I saw another post. A girl had a book club meeting in December. She had like a hot chocolate bar, had all this stuff set up, had all these people that RSVP'd, and then nobody showed up. And I was reading that, like looking at the post, I'm like, damn, she did all of that. Nobody showed up. So if you want to see these events take place, show up, support. That's the best way to do it. And I think there's room for everybody. If there are events that are happening and you like, that should be free, I don't like that, and you have a lot of opinions around how the event should go, I think that's a sign that there's a lane for you, that you should be the one organizing and creating this space. That's your unique voice and your unique perspective. Perhaps you should be hosting events too. But let's get back to the goals, okay? Because this whole thing was to tell y'all that I wanted to start hosting. My goal is to have at least one book event under my belt in 2026. But I would love to do that in collaboration with someone else. I'm doing everything myself. Everything y'all see me do, baby, I'm doing it by myself, okay? I'm out here editing audio, video, everything. I would like to do something in collaboration with somebody else. So if you are listening and you like, look, I want to collaborate with you, girl, slide in my DMs and let me know, because I'm open and we'll consider that, okay? I'm not trying to just be on some cash grab. Some of these events and things that are popping up, I already know they're not for me. However, that is one of my goals. I do want to attend some more book events this year as a guest. So I already have 2 book events lined up. So I'm going to Granger's book event in Atlanta. I also got my tickets to the Black Romance Book Fest. So I'll be back in Atlanta in May. I'm trying to go to some book events and network. And yes, so that's one of my goals. And I want to interview more authors. So I really enjoyed the conversations that I had with Elton Bennett and Aunt Georgia Lee. So I really want to lean into that and start to interview more authors. I tried it out to see if I liked it and if that was something I wanted to continue to do on the podcast. And I do, I like it. So ideally, I would love to do one a month, but we'll see. Wish me luck, y'all, because my podcast is growing. It's not super big just yet, but it's growing. But there are some people out there, they won't even give you the time of day if you don't already have a lot of followers on social media. But I got listeners, baby. Okay, I got listeners and subscribers. However, I don't have a huge social media following yet. So we'll see. Wish me luck, y'all. Wish me luck. And something reading wise, I really want to read more comic books this year. So that's a goal. I want to read some more comic books, some more graphic novels, ideally Black Sapphic comic books. I have to go find them. So I've been doing a little bit of research. I found some, but I want to lean into that. I love comic books. I just haven't been reading them as much as I usually do, but we're going to change that this year because I missed them. So we're going to read a little bit more of those this year. Also, I miss the fantasy. I used to be a fantasy girl and I really leaned deep in the romance fiction this year. I want to read some fantasy or some romantasy, make it gay, and y'all know I'm here for it, okay? So we're going to read more fantasy this year. And then lastly, I want to journal more. So I am a journaler. I have multiple diaries and journals that I write in. I have been documenting my life my whole life, okay? And I started digital book journaling when I got deeper into the books about like in 2024. I started digital book journaling. And then I made a digital book journal that I was using, that I still use to reflect on my books and things like that. But it's other prompts and stuff that I want to kind of incorporate into my book journal. So I'm going to make a new one with some fun and interesting prompts to like really help me dissect the book and unpack the books. And my digital book journal that I made is available on my Patreon, and you do not have to be a paid subscriber to access the book journal, but you do have to be a member of my Patreon. So that is on there if you want to download it and use it. But that's what I use to track my books. I use it on my iPad mini with the Good Notes app. So I love book journaling. But yeah, I'm going to lean into that more and get more creative with some of my prompts and make them more available for y'all. So everything that I create, I'm going to put it on my Patreon so y'all can access it. But I'm going to start posting some daily book journal prompts. At least that's the goal. I keep hearing people talking about how y'all reading 100 plus books a year. Are you comprehending anything? Y'all need to write book reports. Some of us do. Some of us do write book reports and write in our book journal. And like I said, I really want to lean into that some more this year and really share that out with y'all. I had intended to make book journaling content, and then life just got away from me, but I want to do that. So my main goals are host a book event, ideally in collaboration with someone else, grow my audience and my community and my listeners and just my podcast and everything that I'm doing. I want to read more comic books. I want to go to more book events. I want to read more fantasy books this year, and I want to lean into my book journals. Okay, I think that's everything. That was a very long-winded way to tell y'all that it's a new year and we got some book goals and some business goals. Okay, but ideally, I just want to maintain my consistency, baby, because I've been doing this. Okay, I've been doing that, and according to Spotify, baby, what it say? I'm performing better than 57% of other new shows. I'm gonna be riding that wave for a while because what? That's crazy to me. I'm just thank y'all for listening to your girl. Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, let's talk about the book club meeting from December. So y'all, December's book club meeting was interesting, okay? Those books got the people going, okay? The consensus was the book club members didn't like the books. They didn't like December's book picks. But Boomtown by Nick Stone, we didn't like that book. And two members actually didn't even finish it. They like, I can't even finish the book. So that kind of led me to wanting to talk to y'all a little bit about book ratings and DNFs. It's been a lot of conversation about the people making DNF lists. And for those of you who are not as deep in the book lingo, book verse lingo, DNF stands for did not finish. Okay, so there's been a lot of just controversy around people sharing lists of books that they didn't finish and how this impacts authors. And is this mean girl behavior, making a list where you didn't finish the book and listing all the reasons why you didn't like the book and why you didn't finish the book? And I'm conflicted because I think that once you put something out there, it's open to criticism. And I am somebody who likes to interact with my media, and I like to, really unpack it, digest it, okay? So, and we're not going to always like everything that we encounter. I just think that people dislike things very disrespectfully. And I mentioned that a couple of episodes back, but you can dislike things and do so respectfully. Tagging authors and negative reviews and, writing these DNF posts and tagging authors and things. I think that's kind of disrespectful, but I don't knock anybody for having an opinion and wanting to share that about what they're interacting with and what they're digesting and the stories that they're reading. I just think that people forget that their opinion isn't the only opinion too. You may not have liked the book, but I could have loved it. And I don't like when people see that I like something and they want to tell me why they hated it. Or you like that, like questioning you for liking something. And it's okay if you didn't like it, but that is based off your taste and your preferences. And we all have different tastes and different preferences, and we all have different goals for why we're reading, what we're reading, and what we're hoping to get out of what we're reading. So all of that can influence a book rating. I told y'all I'm not a huge fan of thriller. So that's not a genre that I read often. It's not my go-to genre. So Boomtown was already a book I was on the fence about because it was a thriller. But the consensus was nobody really liked the way that it was told, the story. We were very conflicted on that book. I think overall, though, people didn't really like it. I don't want to use my platform to like bash books and bash authors, but I do want to be honest. That was probably our least favorite book out of the bunch. That was the least rated. I actually had to read the book twice. So the second time I read it, it did change my opinion and perspective about the book. I didn't think it was as bad as I thought it was when I first lit, because at first I started with the audiobook. And then I went from the audiobook to the paperback. When I actually read the book, I enjoyed it way more than I did when I was listening to the audiobook. Sometimes you got to do that. Sometimes a book is better as an audiobook versus the paperback. You know, the different modalities for reading could influence how you enjoy and experience the book. Okay. But that was so far, Boomtown was our least favorite book. I don't think anybody rated that book over a 3.5, which is kind of low for us. We even had someone that rated as low as a 2. But the people who didn't finish the book, I couldn't factor in their ratings. So I don't know about y'all, but I feel like if you didn't finish the book, you can't really give a fully informed opinion about the book. You didn't finish it. I understand people's opinions around, life is too short to keep reading books that I don't like, and I fully support that. If you don't like a book and you're not rocking with it and you don't want to finish it, that is your prerogative. However, writing a review based off a book that you didn't actually finish, to me, it's not a well-informed opinion, because there are some books that start slow. They don't capture you right away. They start to pick up in the middle and then blaze through to the end. I know some people, if the book doesn't capture them right away, they on to the next one. But some of us, I'll stick it out. There are some books that, you got to wait for a little bit to get better. Some TV shows, there's a lot of things like that where it don't capture you right away. It's a slow build. So I think that until you finish the book, you can't have a fully well-rounded, well-informed opinion about the book. That's just me. That's my opinion. That's my prerogative, okay? You might not feel the same way, but I don't think that if you didn't finish a book in its entirety, that you can really give an accurate review on the book. So there were some members that we didn't factor their opinions into the group rating. I also decided that I don't think I'm going to be sharing our group ratings on social media anymore. I'll be honest with you, I don't give a damn about it, for real. I know some people got rubrics. So when they read the books, they go through their rubric and try to give a very accurate. I don't care about none of that. Because it's all subjective. It's based off your opinion anyway, and what you liked and what your preferences are. You could think a book was good and I could think it's trash. So I don't know why y'all be taking these book reviews so seriously anyway. Even if somebody rated a book low, I'm still going to try it out and see if I like it, especially if I like the premise of it. If it sounds like it's something I might enjoy, I'm going to try it out. So I don't know. Y'all, some people like these book reviews and they get really mad. This book was trash. Why are the ratings so high? Well, some of us enjoyed it. That's not hard to believe that some of us enjoyed the book. So with that being said, I enjoyed The Chef's Christmas Charade by Elton Bennett. I thought it was creative. I love the spin on the fake dating. However, some members in my book club didn't enjoy it. They didn't like the sex scene being in the epilogue. They like spicier books. So that's another thing too. I am someone that doesn't need a lot of spice in my books, but some members in my book club like them spicy, okay? They like it spicy. Dripping peppers, I don't know. So we already know that if it's a slow burn, if it's not that spicy, it might not be high on their list. Now, that's going to be the kicker. When I find a book that doesn't have a lot of spice, but my girls that prefer spice, if they still like it and rate it high, we know that book is good, okay? That's what I'm going to be on the hunt for. I'm going to see if I can find a book that's low spice that even they would like, okay? That even they would like. But we all have our own reading preferences and stuff, but y'all should have seen this book club meeting, okay? It was going up. I mean, people was riled up about it. So where do you all stand? Do you think that if somebody didn't finish the book, that they should or should not write a review for the book? I think that they shouldn't, because I don't think that's an accurate review because they didn't finish the book. But what are your thoughts? Anyway, it's just been a lot of controversy, a lot of conversation. So I wanted to talk about it because it came up in this book club meeting because people did not finish that book. They did not like it. And then they got mad. Why'd you choose this book? You had us thinking it was going to be good. Because the premise was P Valley meets Gone Girl. When you say something is given P Valley, baby, that sets a standard, like an expectation of what it's going to be. But yeah, no, the book clubbers did not like that book. I hope that they enjoy January's picks a lot better than December. I always tell y'all, look, I'm reading a lot of these books with y'all for the first time, okay? So I don't know how it's going to be either. Okay, so I can't promise you that every book we read together on this here podcast is going to be a 5-star read. But what I do know is that we supported a Black Sapphic author and we read stories that center us and women like ourselves. And to me, that's what matters. Okay, I can't promise you everything gonna be great that we read on here. Every TV show and movie I go see isn't my favorite. Okay, so the books are the same way, which leads me to, most people are getting the books from the library. I don't like when I pay for a book and then I end up not liking it. That's why I love Kindle Unlimited, being able to test drive the book. I'm one of them people. I'm gonna read the book on Kindle first, and then if I loved it, then I'm gonna buy it and make sure I have it on my bookshelf. Okay, because one day Kindle might not be here, and I want to make sure that the books that I enjoy, I have them to read later if the technology fails or anything like that. Like, I don't know. I just like to have a physical copy on my shelf of the things that I enjoy. My little trophy. Okay, but the books that we're reading for January. So like I said, I hope y'all enjoy these better. Okay, but we're reading Aunt Georgia Lee, Ain't Too Old to Grind. One of my book clubbers read an excerpt from the book in the meeting, and she said, "Oh yeah, baby, I want to read this." I said, "Good," because that was my pick for the month because I interviewed the author and I'm really excited. So they were excited to read that book because the excerpt was real juicy because they want some spice. They want something steamy. The second book we're reading is Bliss by Fiona Ziti. I hope y'all like it because y'all been asking me for some spice. Y'all been asking me for some smut. So I hope it delivers. I get a lot of my books through Thrift Books, and I had a free book available. So I got that book for free. So I'm just waiting on it to get here in the mail so I can read it with y'all. So I'm going to read a description of the book for you. If you are new here, please go listen to my previous episode 18, Electric Lady. That is an interview with author Aunt Georgia Lee, and she is talking to us about her book, Ain't Too Old to Grind. And that is the book that we are reading for January. We're reading 2 books, okay? That's one of the books we're reading. So this is the description from Goodreads, all right? Cleopatra Jones has spent her life on top, first as a stunning supermodel and now as the successful owner of Atlanta's hottest vegan restaurant, Soulful Food. But at 55 years old, she has closed off her heart to love and focused solely on building her successful business alongside her daughter and business partner, Sophie. That is until 35-year-old supermodel Destiny Jackson walks into her restaurant and turns Cleopatra's carefully curated life upside down. Destiny is everything she never knew she wanted, but with a 20-year age gap and scars from past relationships, Cleopatra is afraid to open up her heart again. Will Cleopatra let go of her past and open up to a future with Destiny? Or will fear hold her back from savoring life's most delectable dish? Set against the backdrop of Atlanta's food and fashion scene, Ain't Too Old to Grind is a steamy age gap romance that proves love knows no bounds. All right, so that's the first book we're reading. The second one is Bliss by Fiona Ziti. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing her last name correctly. So it could be Fiona Zed or Fiona Ziti. I apologize if I'm pronouncing this woman's name incorrectly, okay? But y'all know my heart, all right? All right, so this is Bliss's book description from Goodreads. When you want it all, you got to give it all. From the outside, Bliss Sinclair's life seems very glamorous. A high-profile job with a publishing house, a fashionable boyfriend who looks good on her arm, and ultra-chic parties where the come-ons are as hot and thrilling as night as they are empty as an air-kissed greeting the next day. It's a world Bliss wanders through with blinders on, all the while craving more, and she finds it in the most unlikely of places. Embarking on a series of carnal adventures with the notorious bad girl as her guide, Bliss opens herself to every new experience and every taboo. In abandoned warehouses, private fetish clubs, even her own office, Bliss is skating on thin ice of desire until her world comes crashing in. Now broken and wanting, Bliss decides to spend the summer in her birthplace, Jamaica, where she hopes to reconcile with her estranged father and rediscover herself. There, in a land of lush ripeness, of heat, warm breezes, easy smiles, and the family she left behind, Bliss will discover what she didn't know was missing. It's a journey that will awaken every one of her senses and take her to the edge of known pleasure and far beyond it, to a love that is as sexy as it gets, as real as can be, and more surprising than she can imagine, a place of total bliss. So those are the two books that we're reading. Someone in my book club already reached out and said, I know we said we wanted spicy, but if the spice is hidden like this and it's only the first chapter, how was the rest of the book gonna go? So I hope this book delivers for y'all, because that gives me a sign this gonna be spicy. And then Ain't Too Old to Grind is gonna be steamy. So this is a grown and sexy month of the book reads, okay? I hope y'all enjoy these books better than y'all did last month. All right. I be feeling like I personally need to apologize when it's books that y'all don't like. Okay, but if you read Boomtown, let me know if you liked it. What were your thoughts on the book? I don't believe in bashing books, because although we might not have enjoyed it, I know there are people out there who loved it. I told y'all a faculty member at the school that I work for recommended the book to me, so she loved it. I will say one of the critiques that some of the members had is that they felt like she was writing about the women in a way that it was appealable to men, you know? So not everybody who writes a queer book, they're not queer themselves. Not everyone who is choosing to write about queer characters are queer. Just like there are some people who are non-black authors that are writing black characters, and people have, called out like, we could tell when y'all aren't black writing black characters, and these are some of the pitfalls that you need to be mindful of when you're describing skin color and things like that. I think that also happens that if you are not someone who's actually queer, writing about queer characters, doing so with the community in mind. Our book club members didn't like the way that the women were described or talked about in the book, the way that the love between the characters was written. It didn't feel like authentic to what they know like a same-sex relationship to be. That was some of the feedback. But they've read some books that are written by openly queer authors and didn't like the way the sex scenes were written. So I don't think that's always an indication like that somebody, just because they are queer or a lesbian, bisexual, that they are openly dating women, that they write sex scenes and love scenes and romance between women really well. Writing is a skill set, and I just don't believe in overly criticizing people for things that I don't do. And I aspire to be a writer. I think that's why I'm very gracious, because I know how difficult it is, because it's something that I aspire to do and I practice. And it's very difficult putting your words and your writing out there and to be open for that type of critique, which is why a lot of us have not shared our writing. Okay. Because we don't want to get ate up on the internet. Okay. So we understand, like, I think because it's something that I aspire to do, that I've done, I write, I know how difficult that is. Y'all not gonna hear me out here bashing authors for real, for real. Now I might criticize and crack some jokes and things like that, but I'm not gonna overly criticize. But I will always give props to authors for at least sharing their art with the world and open themselves up for the criticism. Okay. But I'm not gonna bash the books. I'm just letting y'all know the book club meeting was really, really lively because nobody liked these books. So my wife, like I said, she was the only one who liked Boomtown, and I was the only one that enjoyed. Well, I'm not gonna say the only one that enjoyed it, but I gave a really high rating to the Chef's Christmas Charade. But I'm biased. I will read anything Elton Bennett writes. I like her books, okay? I love her work. That's why I wanted her on my podcast. That's why I interviewed her first. Like, I'm a fan. Every book of hers that I got on my shelf, I bought with my own money, okay? Every book you see on my shelf, I bought with my own money. That's another milestone. I got my first PR box from Aunt Georgia Lee. Let me just say on air, thank you, girl. That PR box was beautiful. I almost forgot to, I was about to end the episode and didn't even tell y'all about the gift that I got in the mail. She sent me 3 boxes full of goodies, including her book that we're reading. I mean, an instant camera, some tea, an eye mask that I really did need. Okay. It was amazing. A t-shirt that I already wore. I wore that on New Year's Eve. The shirt says know your worth, then add tax. I already wore that shirt, okay? We had a party at my family's house for New Year's Eve, and I was rocking that shirt because I felt like that was good energy to bring into the new year, okay? But yes, thank you so much, Aunt Georgia Lee. That was my very first PR box, and you set the bar so high, like so high. It was amazing. I'm very grateful. Very grateful. Thank you. We're also doing a giveaway. So before I end the episode, please make sure that you go to my website and enter my giveaway. It will be closing on Sunday, and we will announce the winner on Monday. I shared a video showing y'all the PR box that she sent me. So the winner will receive a version of that. So please go into the giveaway so y'all can get one of these boxes, because I was just so impressed. Like, oh my God. And it was great. Christmas gift. Just thank you. Like, for real, I want you to, I'm very grateful. I've already started using the camera and wore the shirt. Like, look, your money will not be going to waste. Okay. I thank you. Thank you so much. And I appreciate you for how much you pour into me. Like, thank you. I can't say it enough, but y'all, my very first PR box and set the bar so high. It's only up from here. Okay. But y'all heard the goals. I'm trying to grow and expand and do some things in the new year. And I just share all of that energy and this spirit of abundance with y'all, okay? I am claiming it. 2026 is our year, okay? We're going to do some amazing things, and we're going to read some amazing books while doing it. Thank you for tuning in to the Book Lovers Club. If you love today's episode, make sure you subscribe so you never miss a chapter. And if you're feeling generous, leave a review, because you know those reviews help other lovers find us. So if you want to keep this conversation going, please join me on Instagram or hop on over to Fable to join the virtual book club. And until next time, remember, the stories we read can help us write the love lives of our dreams. See you next Sapphic Saturday.